LinkedIn. All right. I think you can hear me now. Yeah, the best way to keep me quiet is to mute my mic. I promise you. But we fixed that problem. So you're fresh out of luck. I'm going to be talking up a storm. Not that bad. But yeah, always great to be able to connect. This is kind of a special hump day because it's the last one for the year. Man, can you believe that? And so I'm thankful that you're joining us. My friends over there, Michael and Clarity Photos, as I saw your message, we'll talk. Congratulations. But yeah, here we are. We're at the end of the year. Can you believe that? It's been quite a crazy ride this year, but we have made it, man. And I know that we've swirled around a sea of uncertainty all year, and we probably, most of us wondered how we're ever going to make it, but here we are. And that's kind of what I want to touch base and share some thoughts with you on this morning. If I were to ask you, how strong are you, right? How strong do you think you are? If I was sitting across the table from you, how would you answer that question, right? Would you talk about how much weight you can lift or pull or push? Well, that's one way to define strength, I would argue, right? But I think we all know that strength is not always about pure physical strength, right? I could ask you, how strong are you emotionally? How strong are you mentally, right? Where are your limits, right? In terms of your willpower and your discipline and your drive and your determination. How is your ability to persevere? How much of that strength do you actually have? What I know is that most people actually underestimate their strength, right? So, yeah, and all you have to do is look back at your life, look back at the lives of the history of people that you know, and you'll see, right, that there are times when they come up against these really tough situations in life, and they believe, man, that some of us, that there's just no way out. There's no way they're going to get through this, right? It's at the end of the world. And yet, surely, but surely, little by little, painful step by painful step, they get through it. If you think back to last December, Wuhan, China came to our consciousness. The coronavirus, quite frankly, came into our consciousness. The coronavirus has been around forever, but nobody paid attention to it until you had this new strain, right? This COVID-19. By mid-March, we began to realize that, man, this thing is serious. It's going to impact our lives in a significant way. And so as the effects of COVID-19 started to take hold, a lot of us had a tough time even imagining how we would make it to Easter, right? There are some people who felt that it would magically disappear by Easter and everybody would be in church, etc., etc. But yeah, for the most part, I think most of us worried about how we would even make it to Easter, right? Right, Allison? Thank you for joining us. But then we made it to Easter, and it's like, wow. Then summer came, and then fall came, Henry, and here we are now. It's winter, man. It's the end of the year, and yes, we're still challenged, right? There's still a lot of uncertainty swirling around, but we are still alive, right? And that's not to minimize, all those, people who we have lost, as a result of this a pandemic and this virus. But for the most part, here we are. We're having a conversation. We're still alive. And so, yes, when push comes to shove, we often discover that we are so much more stronger than we think we are. There's for those of you who have young children, or you can remember your younger days, you remember there's a little bear, Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie says, there's something that you must always remember. There is something you must always remember. You're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think, right? So let us not forget that, man. We're braver than we believe, stronger than we seem, and smarter than you think. So yeah, life has this is full, of twists and challenge, twists and turns, bumps and potholes, and yeah, global pandemic. And outside of that, you have a whole bunch of other crises, man. Long before the COVID-19 crisis, we're dealing with relationship crisis and health crisis and midlife crisis, and you name it. But I think all of life's challenges give us an opportunity to challenge our capacity. It gives us an opportunity to test our limits, right? Because again, during times of normalcy and comfort, there's no test. Because we're just kind of going along for the ride. But yeah, we are stronger than we often think we are. And yeah, it's going through the grief, and I use the word grief because when you are going through significant disruptions, as we are, we lose things, and you go through the process of being angry and frustrated and grieving, right? And yeah, when the big one hits, so to speak, as I said earlier, we probably feel like it's the worst thing that could have ever happened to us, and we live through the anguish and the pain, and we don't know how we're going to get through this. You lose a loved one, and I want to send out my condolences to all those people who lost loved ones, family members, and close friends. I think I'm somewhere up to 15, the number of persons that I know personally who have succumbed to this virus, and I know that there are other people who have lost way more than this. This has been challenging, right? And so go through those grieving times, man, or you lost your business during this pandemic, or you lost your job, and you don't know how you're going to get through, but you do, right? And so I want to share with you 4 quick ideas, and my friends on IG, as always, I won't be able to share the banners with you, but 4 quick ideas as to how you can get through this thing. And right, the first one is that you shouldn't run from it, right? Don't run from the challenge. Don't run from the uncertainty, fear, anxiety, anguish. These are all emotions that don't feel good, and we would rather not be experiencing those things. But unfortunately, there's no way around it. I always use the analogy of a boxer, right? You ever see 2 boxers in the ring, man? One eventually wins, right? Rarely there's a draw. And I promise you, I can't think of a boxing bout where a guy or girl goes through 8, 10, 12, 15 rounds and didn't get hit, right? You're going to get hit. Life is going to hit you. You can't run away from it. You kind of have to absorb the punches and then come out swinging. That's kind of like the best analogy I can draw, right? It's the pain is really alerting you that, hey, something is different here, something has changed, and you kind of need to get up and respond to it. So don't run away from it. Number 2, stay in the moment. We I call it the Calamity Jane syndrome, right? We have a way of catastrophizing things, right? We're in a situation and we start to borrow a term from one of my friends, start to shoot feature movies in our head, really picturing just the worst case scenarios, right? We end up in this cycle of negative thinking, And, as they say, the things that you think about the most tend to happen in our lives. And so I want to encourage you, and I know how challenging it can be at times. Once you have absorbed that punch, man, learn to stay in the moment, because your power is in the moment. Your ability to take action to change the outcome, or to create the outcome that you like, is in the moment. It is not tomorrow. Not tomorrow this way, right? You can't take action tomorrow. You can't take action yesterday, right? It's in this moment. And I often use the analogy of me driving a bobsled. Every now and again, when you hit a corner, you miss what we call the take on, that point on the corner where you're supposed to enter, like to get the perfect run. And invariably, the sled is going to react. It's going to shoot up in the top of the corner and then come back down. And the natural tendency is to want to manhandle the sled, because you're thinking about, oh my God, if I don't fix this, I might crash. If I don't fix it, I'm going to miss up the corner up ahead. And what you have to do in those moments is, quite frankly, breathe and, just become focused, like just be in this moment. Because if you do anything else, all you would have done is made it worse and probably, end up crashing. So learn to stay in the moment. And then number 3, be optimistic, man. Be that person who has a habit of seeing the glass half full as opposed to half empty. It's the same glass. It's about changing your perspective, and stop looking to on the bad side of every issue. Again, this is not about being having a Pollyanna approach to life, approaching and looking at life through these rose-colored glass, pretending that everything is all right. No, it's about training your thinking, putting your attention on the way you like things to work, right? And if you keep thinking about all the negative things, you'll be drawn towards the negative things. You'll disempower yourself, because you'll feel that there's no point in doing anything. And you would have been abandoning the strength. You'll be dismissing this incredible inner strength. Forget about how much pounds you can lift or push or pull. This inner strength that you have, you're stronger than you know, but if you can easily minimize that strength, negate that strength just by the negative thinking. So learn to be optimistic, and then be resilient. As I said, nobody gets through a boxing match without getting hit, right? None of us are going to get through life without being tested as well. And so you have to learn to be resilient. You have to learn to adapt to life, to the adversity and the trauma and the stress and the uncertainty, right? And the setbacks and the failures. I'm pretty sure every one of you had huge plans about how you're gonna kill it in 2020, right? And then this pandemic comes and upends everything. And it's not the end of the world again, because you're breathing, you're alive. It means that you are strong. And it means that because you're around, you have the ability to move on, right? You can bounce back from the setback. And so when you have this kind of, you choose not to run, but to stand and fight, as it were, when you choose to see the glass of half full instead of half empty, and you're in the moment figuring out what you need to do, what it is that you can do in this moment, man, it really allows you to be resilient. It really builds your willpower, because there are very few things when you're in crisis, when you're dealing with uncertainty. There are very few things, friends, that makes you feel better about yourself than taking action by doing something. And I say anything, right? You may not have a clear idea of what you need to do, but do something because it does make you feel better, right? You may end up stepping through the wrong door, but at least you know. And because you're not sitting there powerless and feeling like a victim, but the victor that you are because you're so much stronger than you will give yourself credit for, you'll feel better and you'll get out on the other end smelling like a rose, as it were. Yeah, man. So those are the thoughts I had for this very last hump day of 2020. Just wanted to share those thoughts with you because here you are at the end of the year, still kicking, man, busting it, and some are surviving, and most of us, I would argue, are thriving because we're doing so much better than what was possible, i.e., on the negative side of things. So, congratulations for making it to the end of 2020. Let's step into 2021 in beast mode, right? Let's not tiptoe like little kitty cats, but let's step in beast mode, armored up, being determined to bring the full weight of our strength, our inner strength, to have the most amazing year. So congratulations for making it to the end. My condolences again to those of you who may have lost loved ones along the way. And I want to wish you and your family just the most amazing 2021, full of blessings and prosperity. All right. So until we connect, first Wednesday of next year, as always, keep on pushing.